Hey, our Frosty. Yeah, I felt like, working with some real paints today. So, really already? Wow, that was quick. Goodbye. Jeez, didn't waste any time, huh? Gotta make people famous. It's Monday. Huh. Um, so I'm using a little different medium today. I'm using this, what they call lavender spike oil, instead of using Gamsol. Because I usually use Gamsol just for like everything. But I'm wanting to try some stuff that's, just less toxic. They said it has about the same amount of drying time as turpentine or mineral spirits. But considering how quickly this stuff is setting up, I'm gonna say that is a lot faster. Not sure how I feel about that. I mean, this stuff is already setting up here, and I don't really like that. So that's kind of interesting. It's not really what I want, but whatever. We'll see if we can make it work. I mostly just want to get, some pigment down here that can essentially act as like, an underpainting base for the shadows. I'm also using you can see over here, it's a walnut oil gel. Which is nice for extending the paint without necessarily thinning it, right? Even though at this stage I don't mind if the paint is a little thin, that doesn't that's not a bad thing. I mean, it should be. Ideally, it actually should be fairly thin. We'll see. I mean, the nice thing with oils is that I can just, paint on top to a degree till I'm at least somewhat satisfied with whatever the hell I'm doing. Also, by the way, this is a printout of a drawing I did, I don't know when, 2 or 3 years back, I think. And I just kind of felt like maybe it would make a good, a nice little painting. So that's what we're doing. Of course, I'm gonna have to kind of, I'm trying to think of, so I'm getting glare from one of my lights here. No, actually I printed it on the Epson Ultra Premium matte paper, presentation matte paper, but I put 2 layers of matte medium and 1 layer of clear gesso on top. So, so it's well sealed, right? I put 2 layers of matte medium on the front, 1 layer of matte medium on the back, and then a layer of clear gesso on the front and back. Because otherwise the paper will start to warp and curl if you only put it on one side. So, gotta have enough on both sides to kind of keep it flat. So that's the other thing. I don't know if this spike oil is kind of just, maybe it's the way it's absorbing into the clear gesso that's making it set up that quick, but I feel like Gamsol doesn't quite set up that fast. But we'll see. So, I mean, anytime you change your process a bit, it's going to take some getting used to, no matter what. So, it's part of it. The reason that I switched from Gamsol to lavender spike oil as a medium, and then this like lavender brush cleaner, right, to wash my brush out. The reason is because it's basically lavender essential oils. Basically, I don't want to say non-toxic because it's got to be to a degree if it acts as a paint solvent, but it's far less toxic in terms of the fumes and stuff than mineral spirits, which are far less toxic than turpentine. So just working in an apartment, it's nice to kind of try and get it as non-toxic as I can. See about. Let's see if that camera might have a little bit of a hard time grabbing focus, but it seems like it's doing okay. Seems like it. All right. Just debating how much I want to. Much I want to work into the shadows. I don't want to get the shadows too dark. The especially if this is basically an underpainting. I don't want to, might want to leave some room for the shadows. But maybe we'll work we'll do a little bit more. But I don't want to go too crazy. I like to have some air in the shadows. It just kind of depends on how high contrast I want the piece to be, right? Like if I want the, I'm not sure how light I want the skin to go. I might work in a more limited value range and keep the lights from getting too light, which means we should bring them down a bit. So for now, let's give you guys a little more light to see with so that it doesn't I don't want it to be too dark for you. I can adjust as we go to try and keep the value a little more accurate, but I actually like kind of what those shadows are doing on her face, so we're gonna go ahead and darken some of these. Because I may not do too much on the shadows after this, honestly. I have the tendency, I've found, to start painting into the shadows more than I actually want to. And so I'm gonna really, really try not to do that this time. You never know. You start doing stuff and then before you know it, you're committed and can't go back. Right, because while I can always paint over oils, to a degree, you can't really take them back. You kind of can, maybe, sort of, sometimes. If you paint heavy enough, sure, you can scrape them off or something, but it's not easy to do all the time, especially on this surface. This surface, I don't think will be terribly forgiving. Let's see here. Woo! Okay, well, that just picked it all up. Huh. Yeah, I dig it. I just think it looks, I don't know, having that kind of air in the shadows, I think just kind of works. Something's going on here, like it's reacting with the clear gesso a bit. This stuff might be a little more, a little stronger solvent than I gave it credit for. But that's okay. Doesn't look like it's picking up the gesso, I don't think. Well, Aurelia, I did cheat and print out a drawing that I had already done and then just sealed the surface so I could paint on top. And the drawing was already already had the values and stuff, so this is literally just like a wash over the whole thing. Thank you. Man, Man, it looks a little warm up there on stream. Warmer than what I'm seeing, although maybe not by much. Oh, seriously, you're just gonna pick that shit up, aren't you? Damn it. Sorry, I see this like... There, I think I got it. There's a hair from my brush. And I don't mind that all the time, but I don't want it like right on the face. Alright, I should really not mess with this too much. At least not as much as I am. I'm realizing, like, I kind of gotta just... There. Lay the paint down and not scrub at it. Reinforce some of these shadows, and then I'm gonna get into painting in the light values. That's fair. That's fair. Mr. Obscura, welcome. Welcome. Aurelia, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate that. I have to remember not to dip into the brush cleaner as a medium. I'm so used to doing that because I'll just use a Gamsol in the same way. Awesome. Alright, we'll catch you later, Aurelia. You sleep well. So for anyone just joining, I am trying out a new medium and a new brush cleaner. The thing is they're separate, right? So normally I use Gamsol and I use it for both brush cleaning and as a medium, and it's super easy. I should probably be more picky about keeping a clean can of Gamsol and a dirty can, but I don't really. So now I'm doing two different cans of stuff that's far less toxic, and it's just gonna take some getting used to. Okay, I want to see if, hang on guys, I have a feeling this will fuck with it too much. Oh, maybe not. That's not bad. Cool. Actually didn't change that much. But that does, huh? This is going to be a little bit of a test thing to kind of get my lighting figured out. You know, because I want, like... Come on, camera. You got this. You got this. Right? Is it focusing? I think it is. Yeah, I'm just trying to get... That's gonna catch way too much light, huh? Damn it. Alright, well, it's not bad. At least I can see what I'm doing, because this other light was catching way too much glare. We'll try working with this for now. See how it goes. See how it goes. Alright. And what I'll probably do is in later sittings, I'll probably use walnut oil. But I don't want to use that in the early sittings because it takes a little too long to dry. We don't want that too early on. So let's get into our lights here a bit. This is kind of a mid-tone light that I'm doing here. I don't want to jump right into the heavy lights. It's partly just wanting to lay down paint. Partly just establishing a kind of general key. Does it feel like it's, no, it is focusing. I don't want to see. All right, that should keep it focused. I want to try and get that glare off her face for you guys, because that's of all the places, right, to have glare. That kind of sucks. I feel like that made it worse. Where's that coming from? It is coming from the one behind me. Okay. That totally made it worse. Huh. Alright. 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 We'll keep it as is then. Oh, thank you. Mauricio, how's it going? Mexica Tihui. Thank you. Trying. Doing my best. Honestly, I'm kind of just experimenting on stream, which maybe is a little dangerous because this is usually a better time to focus a little more and not be distracted, but oh well. I felt like painting and I didn't really want to cancel the stream, so I figured, what the hell? I don't know if you guys can really see that. Man, that glare is annoying. Trying to think if there's a way that I can adjust it beyond just, you know, sitting in front of it. Oh, that's better. Weird. Yeah, I'm, you know, I love oil painting, and, you know, there's something so satisfying about at least, like, having a real painting at the end of it, you know? Well, thank you, Viscera. I appreciate that. to quickly open this. Oh man, if I can even find, let's see. I just want to open the JPEG. Just because the drawing has some features that I really like that I don't want to lose. So I don't want to like to have that up at least for reference, because I am going to have to paint over things. Such as the nature of oils. I probably should have done like a digital color study of this first, because I have no idea what color scheme I want. Which, you know, that could get interesting. How's everybody's night going so far? Right on, mine's going well. Can't complain, you know, get to oil paint here, so that always makes me happy. You know, Mauricio, the reason that I would do a digital one is to really like figure out the palette, right? So that way I could just paint around. I don't have to worry about over painting it or you know, getting it too muddy or whatever. It would really just be to kind of figure out what colors I might want to use, and just something for me to reference. I think for a piece like this, I wouldn't be as worried about doing a small oil sketch, but I think for a larger piece, that's a very good practice, right? Because obviously each medium kind of presents its own challenges, and the benefit of doing a small study in the medium you're going to do the finish in is that you can kind of see what sort of pitfalls there might be in the piece that you're doing. So noticing this paint tends to soak into the surface with this spike oil in it. It works pretty different than what I'm used to. So as I'm painting this, I'm going to be dealing with trying to figure out how the hell this shit works. So, you know, just to make it a little more interesting. As if we needed more challenges for oils, right? It's almost right now, it feels almost like working with gouache, because as it soaks in with, you know, the stuff that's underneath, it's darkening, which is what gouache does. So it's kind of it's interesting. I'll give it that. It is interesting. I have a feeling it might largely be due to the surface that I'm working on. I have a feeling it wouldn't do that if I was, say, working on top of like an alkyd primed linen or something. I doubt it would quite darken like that. By the way, I'm working on a 9x12 right now, and I wanted to just start doing some small oils. Hey, thanks for the follow, Stressed Ferret. So my guess is I'm just gonna have to kind of keep building up paint. Oh, you know why? I totally forgot to spray. Normally I would spray the surface with workable fixative first, because I actually don't like how absorbent clear gesso is, and I totally forgot to do that. That's why it's soaking it up. Oh, right on. Cool. Yeah, sorry, I meant to do like an announcement on Instagram that I was gonna be doing a live stream today, and honestly I wasn't sure if I was, because I was like, I really want to oil paint. I don't have everything set up to stream in oil painting, and I bit the bullet and decided to get it all set up anyway, and it's kind of working. There's still a glare there that I'm not a fan of, but I don't think there's a way for me to totally get rid of that glare. Well, Stress Parrot, thank you. It's always you know, a little, I don't know, interesting to hear when someone says I'm one of their favorite artists. I don't know. Very humbling is all I can say. Okay, cool. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I do sometimes like get I don't over perfect per se, but I mean sometimes I do, but like in the sense that like I will work on the rough for something oftentimes just as long as I work on the finish part. And I mean, it works out, right? It works out in the end because then that's fewer things that I have to fix later on, which is kind of how it should be. But sometimes I'll be working on the rough for something and I'll be like, I'll have 2 hours to get a sketch done and an hour in and I'm just finishing the rough and I'm just like, shit, you know, how am I gonna do this? And then it'll take me like, it'll just take me 45 minutes more to finish it. I'm like, oh, okay, that worked out because, you know, everything was worked out in the rough. So the finish goes super quick and easy, which is nice. By the way, this first pass is pretty much going to be, I think, monochromatic. I might shift the colors a little bit, but this is an underpainting. I'm not trying to do like the finished piece. I just want to get kind of the values in on this one, and then I'll let it dry. I'll throw a layer of retouch varnish on it after it dries, right? And then start painting the final on top of that. I'm trying to decide how light I want her skin to go, and I'm not sure. So the other color I might bring in is Payne's Gray, right? Which it's not a black. I rarely use actual black on my palette, mostly because I can't stand the way that it dries. Blacks tend to dry very matte, and I just like, I hate having to throw retouch varnish on it all the time to bring the gloss back. But so whereas Payne's Gray doesn't matte out as much, so pretty much all my colors on my palette don't dry to a matte finish unless I'm working on like the kind of surface that I am right now, which is clear gesso, right? And clear gesso is very absorbent, so things will matte out until you build up enough layers of paint, right, for it to kind of sit on top a little more. So I want to get some more accent darks in here, I think. It's kind of what I'm going to use the Payne's Gray for. What brand of what? Mauricio, what are you asking about? Oh, of paint. Um, let's see. I think it's pretty much all Williamsburg, with the exception of my olive green and my manganese blue hue, which are both Winsor Newton. But the manganese blue, it's just because I still have a tube of the Winsor Newton, so I want to use that up. Olive green, Winsor Newton just makes the best olive green, in my opinion. It's just a really nice, dark, transparent olive green, which they essentially get. And it's interesting because it dries glossy, and yet it's basically a mix of black and yellow. If you look at the ingredients on the back, the pigments are basically a black and a yellow. It's not quite an Indian yellow, but it's close. I think it has a similar number code to it. So she does have dark hair. I don't want to like darken her hair completely right now because I actually want the option to have some of this underpainting show through. Oh, I'm really regretting not putting that workable fixative on first. But it's probably working out better for you guys because the surface is less glossy. But I kind of wish I had done it for myself. But it's okay, whatever. We can muscle through it. Yeah, I like the Williamsburg paints. They have a nice kind of high pigment content compared to like Winsor Newton. You know, not as high as say Old Holland. By the way, this is just a little nod to Tank Girl with the electrical tape. Because I had this sort of post-apocalyptic vibe in mind with this, whoever this character is. No one in particular at this moment. Hey Shane, what's up, man? How you doing? Welcome. Back to some oils tonight, because I really was not in the mood for digital painting. And this whole thing is just trying out a whole bunch of new shit, too, by the way. It's going well, man. I was telling folks earlier that normally I use Gamsol, to clean my brush and as a medium for the paint. But I'm trying to, be a little better about my painting practices than I have been in the past, where I never got into using actual mediums, but what Gamsol does is it will thin the paint and it will have the tendency to break up the pigment if you kind of thin it out too much, right? And so the purpose of a medium is to extend the paint but not break up the pigment and the binder, right? And so I'm trying to be a little smarter about that now. So I switched from Gamsol to some lavender oils, which have been around for a long time, basically since the Renaissance. So not everyone used turpentine back in the day, by the way. So I have a lavender spike oil, which I use to thin out the paint. and then I have a separate, like a lavender brush cleaner to clean my brush off. And then if I want to extend the paint, I have this walnut gel medium. Walnut oil gel. So basically non-toxic. It's just made from walnut oil, which you can cook with. So I don't think you'd want to cook with the gel, but you could literally buy walnut oil at like Whole Foods and paint with it. But it'll have a few more impurities than the artist version of walnut oil, which is still food grade. It's just more filtered. Thus, it's a little more expensive. So yeah, it's kind of just trying a bunch of new stuff. Plus, I don't usually paint on top of printouts, but I wanted to do some smaller paintings that I could maybe, put up for sale for semi-reasonable prices. By the way, on top of all that, the lavender oils are just far less toxic than mineral spirits or turpentine. And that's the main reason that I really want to give them an honest shot, Even if I can already see there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but that's okay. Like I'm painting in an apartment, even though I have my sliding door cracked open, I have a fan behind me blowing this stuff away, I have my air purifier going. Just as much as I can limit the toxicity, I will. Yeah, I love all the art info and the art history stuff, and like there's certain things that I know about, and then other things that I'm not as familiar with, and then sometimes I'll be curious about it, and then I'll have to go kind of look it up and study it. I know, right? Living on the edge, as if the pandemic wasn't enough. Well, cadmiums that's a heavy metal, so yes, they're toxic. So whether it's cadmium red or cadmium yellow, those are toxic. I do have cadmium red light on my palette, just because I have not found a good... currently, what is the song that I'm playing right now? The song I'm playing right now is called On the Bayou by Chris Shards. I don't have my screen up on Twitch right now, so I can't really show that per se. But On the Bayou by Chris Shards. But yeah, so I have cadmium red light, but of all my pigments, that's the only one that's really a heavy metal pigment that I have on my palette. I don't really tend to use cad yellow, just because I feel like Indian yellow kind of serves my purpose. Right? Because Indian yellow is so high pigment that even if I add a tiny bit of it to white, it keeps a lot of saturation, so I can still do a high value yellow. But if I want to just use Indian yellow as is, what I love is that it's transparent, whereas cad yellow, light, any of the cadmiums really are opaque. And I prefer... Personally, I'd like to keep my darks transparent as much as I can. So I like to have all my colors be transparent, because if I'm painting in the lights, I'm adding white to that anyway. And that's going to lend its opacity to whatever pigment I blend it with. So I don't really like to have opaque pigments unless I have some specific need for them. So I have them, just not out on my palette, you know. Once in a while, I might need to like squeeze a little bit of some color out. For, you know, if I have a very specific need for it, but generally that's not the case. So I just want these accent darks in here, kind of start to give me a clear idea of the key, the lighting key, right? Whether it's high key, low key, whatever, or how high key it is or how low key it is. And it will, we're gonna actually keep this one, at least we're gonna try, we're gonna do our best to keep it fairly mid-range. Like, I don't actually want the lights to get super light, you know, and I have the tendency to get a bit light in the lights because for whatever reason, I think it comes from all the sketching that I've done, you know, where basically I lay in all these darks and then I'm erasing out the lights. So I rarely go darker than whatever I lay in there to begin with. And so mostly what I'm working with is the light side. And so I'll have the tendency when I'm painting to still think in that mode, and I'll just keep getting lighter and lighter to push things. And then before I know it, my lights have just gotten kind of blasted out or too washed out, chalky kind of, because that's just going to happen when you add too much white to everything. And so I'm trying to now consciously say, okay, look, if I want to adjust these values, I don't have to go directly into the lights. Maybe I can tweak the midtones, or maybe I can darken the shadows, you know? And then if I darken the shadows, then the entire light side will now feel lighter than it did before, right? So that's where, like, digital, it's so easy, right? You can tweak that stuff to no end. You just throw on some multiply layers, overlay layers, and adjust your values like very, very easily. Oil painting, obviously, you have to exercise a little more control and kind of constantly be thinking from both ends of the spectrum. So one thing we will do is probably lighten up the background a little bit, just to kind of give them, I mean, I love the look of like a light figure coming out of a dark background. So that's one thing we have to consider. If I want to keep her basically in kind of a mid-range of values, I either actually need to go darker with the background or I need to go much lighter so that she's like kind of a silhouette that's popped off. But I think we will finesse her values a bit more still, and then turn this fan up a bit. Maybe even more. I was getting a little too much of this lavender spike oil, and even though it's like, it's supposed to like pretty non-toxic, it's still strong. It's seriously like if Vicks Vapor Rub was lavender scented. Like that's how strong it is. So I'm like, okay, I don't need to be sitting right on top of that. That might be a little too light for this juncture. Kind of need to see if this is gonna soak in. It looks like it is soaking in a bit. Okay. All right. Well, that's okay. Shane, were you streaming today? And if so, what were you streaming? What were you discussing today? Yep, there we go. My East Indian is showing. Oh, okay. Oh, right on. Okay, so it's Thursday usually, but I couldn't, for some reason, I was blanking on, because I know sometimes you'll pop in to my stream after your stream, and I couldn't remember if that was today or not. Hey, Joby! What's up, man? How you doing? Joby, I've been really digging the work you've been doing and posting. Gotcha. Yeah, so that's a good question, man. I don't really know who she is. This is a drawing I had done a few years back. Maybe I can. Hang on. Let's see. I'm hoping this won't like totally fuck everything up, but whatever. We can maybe swap over here really quick. So this is the drawing that y'all can see here, and now you can see my Cintiq screen as well with my two chat windows up. But so this was a drawing I'd done in Prismacolor pencil on Duraline acetate, and it was just a random thing. I just had this sort of like post-apocalyptic idea of this girl roaming around with these two big black jaguars, right? So that's I just kind of felt like, hey, that would make a cool painting. So I printed it out on some Epson ultra premium presentation matte paper, and then through a couple layers of matte medium on the front and the back, and then a layer of clear gesso as well. The back is just to stabilize it and keep the paper flat. It takes time because you have to wait for each layer to dry, though a hair dryer makes that go a lot faster. But mostly, you know, I just wanted to start doing some small oil paintings. This is just 9 by 12. I wanted to start doing some small paintings that I could, you know, maybe start selling for, you know, a semi-reasonable price. Just to start selling some paintings. Some real paintings. Yeah, so Joby, I was actually talking about kind of getting less toxicity with the supplies, right? So there's a company called Chelsea Classical Studio, right? And I picked up this lavender spike oil. Look how pretty that is. Leave it to artists, right? Made by artists for artists is what it says there. But this is essentially to thin the paint, and it's basically lavender essential oils, right? So way less toxic than mineral spirits, which are way less toxic than turpentine, right? Now this is what you would use just to thin the paint. They also make a brush cleaner, and you can do either a lavender or a citrus oil brush cleaner to clean your brushes. So just overall, yeah, so walnut oil, I have a walnut oil gel right here, right, which I'll use to extend the paint. And yeah, walnut oil is great. The only reason I'm not using walnut oil for this step is because walnut oil takes a lot longer to dry, right? And because this is the underpainting, I want it to dry faster, so I'm using that lavender spike oil. But this shit is expensive. I was like, oh, I'll get a big 32 ounce bottle of it, right? $200 for a 32. I'm like, I'm not dropping $200 on something I've never used right now. But I had a feeling like, look, if I can replace Gamsol with it, I'm gonna learn to use it. This is an 8 ounce bottle, and I think it was still $65 or something. The brush cleaner is way cheaper, by the way. You get 32 ounces for $100, and 32 ounces will go a long, long way. That will last a long time. So $100 is like really not bad. Depending on how you use it, $100 of brush cleaner, will probably last you for some years. Yeah. You know, I tended to use Gamsol for everything, which really isn't that expensive. But I was like, you know what? I'm painting an apartment, and at least I do have like a sliding glass door I can open up, and a fan going, and my air purifier going, and all that craziness. But still, I was like, as much as I can kind of get away from some of that toxicity, you know. The only thing is, I totally forgot. Normally I would have sprayed this with workable fixative before painting on it, because I'm painting on clear gesso, which tends to be very absorbent until you manage to pile on enough paint. And I totally forgot to spray the workable fixative, so now it's just soaking up every bit of paint that I put on it, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. We'll deal. Hey, I'm Simmer. How's it going? Yeah, so I mean, it is strong though. That spike oil, I was saying, it's basically like if you had a lavender Vicks vapor rub. That's how strong the smell is, right? Because it's basically lavender essential oils. So it's like, it's pretty potent. It's not toxic, but it's pretty potent. Cool. Yeah. I know how it goes, man. When, when we're busy, like, gotta get stuff done. Gotta multitask. Enjoy your lurk, my friend. Uh-oh, raid. Shura Art. Thank you for the raid. How's it going? Hello, raiders. Welcome. We're doing some oil painting today, so I'm not set up to necessarily show like a bunch of my work. Though I could maybe show some more oil paintings. But let's just get a little bit of color down. Shura Art, what were you working on today? Feel free to, post a link or something. I'd love to see what you're doing. And thank you. Yeah, I've been kind of talking about it a bit. I'm trying out kind of a whole new combination of mediums, so it's a little bit of a battle today. I won't lie. This stuff is a little too light. Let's darken that down a little bit. I don't want to jump ahead on my lights so much, right? After all, we just talk about keeping it somewhere in the mid-range. Oh yeah, you like the earth tones, huh? I know, I'm a fan of earth tones as well. Today I'm mostly using transparent red iron oxide and transparent brown iron oxide. I just find them very, very satisfying for underpaintings. I do have Discord, but feel free. Here, let me give you this. There's my Discord. Because Nightbot, I think, is not doing its job. But also, if you happen to have a Discord as well, obviously you can always share a link to the image. I'd love to check it out. I think the personal one works, but I could be wrong. But feel free, post it you know, we have a art sharing section. There's an art crit section. There's all that stuff. Feel free, post it, and then you can totally share the link here. Right now, I know it kind of looks like I'm not really adding different colors onto this or even values, and it's mostly because I want to just build up that paint so that this stuff starts to sit on top rather than just soaking right in. The soaking in gets real annoying after a while. But it's already starting to sit on top a bit more, so that's good. Hey, Aaron Roberts, how's it going? Doing well. Oil painting tonight, so, you know, I can't complain. Oil painting makes me happy. Just cleaning my brush out here a bit. Keep getting all these notifications. Oh yes, I would highly recommend them. I love oils. I mean, you know, there's a learning curve, and you know, even if I'm away from them for too long, which sometimes isn't even that long, there's still a learning curve. But I'm really trying to sort of keep with them this time around because I'm tired of trying to shake the rust off. Oh, cool. Let's jig it out. Oh, right on. That's tight. I dig it. So do you have like a whole scene in mind that you're doing? Like what's the plan? What's the end goal with that one? Because that looks pretty damn fun. Also, what is it a fan art of? I'm not as up on my games and stuff or animation as I perhaps should be. I'm not gonna lie, every time it comes down to like wanting to turn on my PlayStation or wanting to painting pretty much always wins out for me. But oh, StarCraft 2. Nice. Well, I dig the play on style there. That's pretty fun. I think that's great. Funny, I never played StarCraft that much, but I had a couple friends that just played the hell out of it. I mean, they loved that game. One of them, I don't know why. I feel like he was just a glutton for punishment because he never won. Especially playing against our buddy who was just like a really good strategist and could beat most people with like an army half the size. And yet our other friend would just always wanted to play. Always wanted to play. He was kind of that way too. Like, he always wanted to play Bushido Blade 2 with me, and I would always just, like, destroy him. You know, we'd be like... I mean, we'd just play match after match, right? We'd be, like, best out of 100. And out of 100, I would literally win 95 of them. And yet he always wanted to play. I don't know why. Like, is this really fun for you? It didn't matter which character I was. I would just destroy him. But I mean, whatever. We did have a good time. We did have a good time. But I just figured, like, that would get fucking boring after a while. Right, just constantly losing. Plasmatics. I don't think I ever listened to the Plasmatics. That's kind of fun though. I like that. I was thinking of the X as a kind of a reference to Tank Girl, right? Because she always had that electrical tape on her nipple. Feather that paint out a bit so it's not so harsh. Soften some of this. It's tricky painting this small. I forget sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, one mark and that's it. You know, meaning like you only have to throw down one little mark for certain spots and you don't have to sit there and noodle. Hey, Nightbot, look at you doing your job. Man, looks really high contrast on camera. It's not quite that high contrast in real life. Oh yeah, it's just to rest my hand on. Especially when I'm painting this small, you know, it's not about like having a bunch of bravado and swashbuckling in my brushwork necessarily. I mean, I want it to be direct, fairly direct painting. I don't want to over noodle. I'm like really gonna try not to over noodle. I have the tendency to do that in oils. And then I have to go back and loosen things up again later on, and I really want to try not to do that. It's all about discipline, you know, with this stuff. It's all about discipline. Let's not get lighter on her skin, because that's going to get us into trouble. All that trouble that I mentioned before, my tendency to go too light rather than maybe, you know, working in some darks to kind of up the contrast. Yeah, Circsef. If you're just joining, you can join the Discord. My Discord's a little, budget. I probably don't go as crazy with it as I should, but I do always keep an eye on it, and I always respond, and so you can put stuff either in just the general art chat, or if you want feedback, you can always. So if you do the talking art, that's where you can just post stuff, and we'll be like, dude, that's awesome. If you want feedback, you can post it in the art feedback and crit channel, and we'll totally give feedback. Got some good artists that frequent there, so can get some really worthwhile feedbacks, some fellow professionals. Plasmatics, okay. So OG punk, huh? Like Ramones and stuff. That's cool. I'm gonna have to check them out. I dig the girl punk bands. Was it an all-girl band, or was it just one member that was a girl? Thing about this, we're gonna darken our panthers a bit. They can stand to go darker because they are black jaguars, right? That's my idea. Oh man, no, there is no embarrassment. Trust me. We've all been at every single different level of art, so don't even stress about that. We all gotta start somewhere. It's so much just about the journey, right? I mean, that's kind of why we do a lot of this stuff. So I'm just grabbing some Payne's Gray and then more of my transparent red iron oxide, which is a very strong color, by the way. I've learned that. It may not be on the level of Venetian red or dioxazine violet, both of which just go for days and days, but it's pretty damn strong. Olive green just to kick the saturation down. I don't actually want them too saturated. Because these guys are gonna go almost black in the shadows, probably. I mean, we'll see. I'll probably keep a bit of air in the shadows. I don't want to actually go black, but I mean, they're Black Panthers, and I do want them to kind of register as nice sort of graphic shapes in a way, right? So I am going a bit darker with them, and I'm almost treating it just like glazing. Not almost, I am treating it just like glazing. So I'm going thin. That's why you see me kind of scrubbing in the shadows, because I want to keep the transparency. I don't want Yeah, some black jaguars. Hey, thanks for the follow. Estrella Fugaz 24. There's a really good taco joint not too far from me called La Estrella. Those very delicious tacos. Though my favorite is still Senor Fish, but La Estrella is very good. Yeah, I'm a big fan of big cats in general, but I've always had a particular fascination with jaguars. They're just so damn powerful. The transparent, oh, this stuff here? That is, it's, believe me, it's not ignorance, because I just learned about it not too long ago, and it's a walnut oil gel. So what that does is, it's like any other medium, right? When you're oil painting, you'll use a medium to extend the paint, right? And so this would essentially make it more transparent, but keep the texture of the paint essentially, because it's a gel. Whereas if I use this lavender spike oil as a medium, it will thin it out, right? It'll make it more liquid. So it kind of depends. It just depends on if I want to use the gel medium just to extend the pigment and kind of make it more transparent, or if I want to actually thin it down, or maybe a combination of both. You know, maybe I don't want to use too much of the gel, or maybe I don't want to make it too thin, but I want it more transparent, so I'll use some of the spike oil and some of the gel with it. So it kind of just depends on like the effect that I want in the paint, especially in these early phases where we want the paint to be fairly thin, right? You don't want to paint super heavy on the early layers, because then they'll take too long to dry if you're gonna paint on top. And so I'm basically just trying to use more stuff that's less toxic than some of the other shit that's out there, you know? And I had recently started using some walnut oil here and there, but in the later stages, not this early, because walnut oil takes forever to dry. The walnut oil gel doesn't take as long. It doesn't dry super fast, but it doesn't take as long to dry as normal walnut oil does. And walnut oil is all, you know, it's food grade. Like you literally cook with walnut oil. And so the walnut oil gel, while it is treated, I would not cook with it. It is far less toxic than, you know, some of the others, even the alkyds, right, which are resin based. It's less toxic than those. So, and when you're painting in an apartment like I am, the less toxic, the better. Right? Hey, thanks for the follow. Ostavula. Lose this. Oh, you lose the sketch for what? because the upside is I'm painting on top of a print, so I have the original drawing. Oh, hey, I know how that goes. I always like, whenever I'm setting up stuff, especially for the stream, I always have to be very aware of where everything is, because I'm like, I don't want to tip this shit over, you know? Oh, yeah, definitely. More transparent, the better. I do have a scan of the original drawing up on the computer, so at least I can reference that. But yes, I like to keep that sketch as long as I can, you know, until I'm like far enough along that it's kind of already all spelled out, I guess. By the way, to anyone who is kind of new around these parts, I am a sketch artist and illustrator. I work in the advertising world, doing entertainment advertising, so key art for, you know, movies and TV and video games, all that fun stuff. That is my day job. I run the illustration department at an ad agency out in Hollywood. And in my spare time, I like to draw and paint stuff. I generally do a lot of painting in digital, you know, whether it's Photoshop or Procreate, but I absolutely love painting in oils and watercolor, and have been trying my best to just do more of that, you know. It's always nice to kind of have a break from staring at a computer screen all the time. So yeah, anyone that's been on Twitch lately and has seen the cover art for Star Wars Squadrons, well, then you've seen one of the pieces that I painted up. So that gives you a good idea of the kind of stuff that I do for work. As always, though, that was a huge group effort, you know, art director's concept. And then kind of my job is to just take the idea and turn it into an awesome painting if I can. Hey, thanks, Viscera. I appreciate that. Super fun piece, like from start to finish, you know, like great composition and color palette laid out by the art director. Super awesome for EA to see it and be like, dude, this is great, and we would love to get something like really painterly. Like for them to specifically ask for us to do that was just super cool. Really fun piece. That was a piece that I've been waiting for, you know, for a while, like for it to actually be out in the wild, because I was like, oh man, I love this thing, I just want to see it out there. So I mean, you can probably, sure, if you just Google Star Wars Squadrons, maybe Star Wars Squadrons cover art. It's out there. It is out there. I don't really post things up because you know, it's not something that I can like it's not something that I can like lay credit to, you know, because I was just at the end of that process painting on it. So, you know, that's not really something that I can say put up on Instagram and be like, hey, check out what I did, you know, because it was such a group effort that, you know, you got to be careful with that. You'll step on people's toes even when you don't mean to. So that's why I was posting work stuff at one point, but then I was like, you know, we ran into some issues with some stuff, so I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna take it all down. Everyone that like follows me on Instagram was pretty much following me for my sketches anyway, not my professional work. They never seemed to care much about the professional stuff, even when I thought it was super cool. Hey, thank you. Yeah, I am definitely still part of it, and you know, it's sometimes like a very big part of it, and but you know, it's still kind of, there's all kinds of just issues with getting permission to post stuff, and it's just kind of, it's a headache, you know. And it's all under contract, so it's sort of like, it kind of goes with the territory, you know. It's not like it ever came as a big surprise or anything. Yep. Yeah, Mauricio, that's the one. The Rebel pilot and the TIE Fighter pilot. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm so tempted to just throw kind of a light background for the silhouette value, but I don't know. I think if I do that, it's gonna be a last minute kind of a thing. Not last minute, but like I won't do it until I'm pretty much painted up everything, and then I'll have to really hope that it doesn't like totally fuck it up. I feel like a light background would be nice because it would throw a completely different key to her values, and I feel like that might be a really good thing. But that's one of those things, like, you can't take it back, so I'm just so hesitant. So hesitant. I know, right? You can't be like, I mean, realistically, I could just scrape some of it off and then let it dry, but it won't have the same texture anymore, and so that's where I have to kind of decide, like, am I cool? I am kind of cool losing the texture because it does get a bit busy. So, you know, we might go ahead and do that, but I think I might scrape some of this stuff off the palette real quick. couple of brushes. Question is, I don't know how light I want to go with it. But we're gonna need enough to cover a good amount of space. So this is the time you'll see me break out the palette knife, is when I'm wanting to mix up enough paint to cover a good area. Especially because this clear gesso is just soaking it up like crazy, so I know I'm gonna need to mix up quite a bit of it. Jesus. Transparent brown oxide is strong as hell too. That shit goes for days. Too dark, right? Yeah, it's basically like the same value as a lot of this other stuff. Yeah, I figure, because, I mean, we can also, just shoot the shit and talk nonsense if we want, but I figure, maybe if I just kind of like think out loud, so to speak, then, that can also be useful. And that's also where, if people have any kinds of questions too, I would always encourage you to ask. Ooh. It's maybe a bit much. I don't want you dripping all over the place. Yeah, I try not to, be too secretive, I guess you could say. I like sharing information. By the way, this is not as bright as it looks on stream. It's just catching glare right now. It is not that white. It is a earthy kind of a white. And I don't want to lose all the texture, right? So I'm not trying to do a really smooth, flat kind of a thing. Camera does do curious things, even when it's a good camera. There's just there's only so much that you can really totally account for. I don't know know if oops. It's not too bad, but oh well. It'll hopefully even out a bit as the paint dries a little more. But I know on stream it looks really hectic. Just know that in person it doesn't look nearly as hectic. Hello, Tim. How the painting palette doesn't get stained? I mean, you know, it will if you just leave the paint on there, right? But like when I'm done tonight, I'll scrape the mixing area down a bit, and then I'll just rub it with some brush cleaner and a paper towel, and it'll usually pick up pretty much all of it. Switch over to a smaller brush here pretty quick. Just to get closer to the edges of the figures and whatnot. But honestly, I also don't mind if this paint palette gets stained a bit. But when I wipe everything down, it'll all go to kind of a neutral sort of brownish gray anyway. So that's kind of what it would get stained with. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. Yeah, the main thing would be you just don't want to let the paint completely dry on the palette. I don't mind if it dries where my colors are laid out from the tubes. Like, that's fine, because I will pretty much always lay those colors out on those spots. So that's not a big deal if it dries there. I just don't want it to dry in the mixing area. And thank you for the follow, L. Simister. LC Mister. L. Simister? Alright, let's get our smaller brush back out and get her silhouette chiseled out there. Right. Get some. When you're working with a kind of, I don't know, a generic background, I guess we could say, it's a good idea to pay attention to the brushwork, right? Because, you know, even if you don't have anything going on narratively in the background, it is a good idea to at least try and have it look interesting, you know, as much as we can. You know, if I really like this look, I could always go back in later with like really heavy paint, you know, do almost like an impasto kind of a thing that really chisels out the form, which could be fun. That's kind of a time-honored tradition that the illustrators always did, because, you know, painting something like this back in the day, this would have all just gone to white, right, with the more limited printing technology back then. And so that they would sometimes get really kind of crazy and really heavy with the paint when they would sort of chisel out the figure, knowing that in print that was all just going to go to white, but when you saw it in person you'd have this really beautiful, like, heavy chunky paint there, which was really cool. Hey, Ostavula. All right. Well, I'm glad that you were able to hang out for a bit. I do keep the VODs up, so you can catch it on Twitch keeps them for like 30 days or something, but it'll stay up on YouTube, so you can always like go back and check it out later if you want. You have a very good night. Hesitant to throw too heavy of paint on here because there's a lot of titanium white, and titanium white is not the fastest drying white in the world, but at the same time I do want some heavier paint, so I have to do it. Just gotta do it. I probably did go a little too dark on some of the underpainting, but at the same time, I totally forgot that I didn't spray fix the surface, so the paint soaked into the gesso rather than sitting more on top, and that kind of foiled my initial plans, and I had to redirect. Whatever. Keeps us on our toes, right? Yeah, if anybody has any questions, please shout out. Well, it was mostly because, like, I'm not trying to do I wasn't trying to go for, any kind of a fully painted background, right? And so then I had to kind of decide, do I want a dark background? Do I want a light figure coming out of a darker background? Or do I want a lighter background? Because I actually want to kind of bracket her values, right? I don't want her values to get too light. And one of the ways that I can combat that is to have the background be lighter than her lightest values, right? Which will give her a nice sense of mid-range, you know, kind of mid-tone. And so I decided to go for that because I do love the look of a mid-tone figure on a light background. I don't know why, I've always just really loved that. There's just something really satisfying about it. I mean, I love the light figure on the dark background too. And there's no reason you can't have a mid-tone figure on a dark background. It just gives it a different feel, you know? And the lights against a dark background will feel lighter, and I kind of don't want them to. So, but since I'm not trying to go for a full, like a narrative background, you know, I'm just keeping it essentially abstract. I tried at one point to figure out a background for this, and I just, for whatever reason, I just couldn't land on anything that I really liked. So finally I was just like, you know what, screw it. But also, like I said, it looks a lot brighter on stream just because of the contrast that the camera is catching and the glare that it's catching. I don't know if I can really give you an accurate... This stuff on the right looks a bit more... a bit closer to what I'm seeing. It is a little darker on the right just because I got some of this stuff in there. So let's darken some of this because I don't want it to go too bright all over. But it does look a bit brighter on stream than what I'm actually seeing in person. So that's just sort of the, you know, when you're not streaming digital, you just have to kind of be prepared for, you know, 80% accuracy instead of 100% accuracy. Well, I'd say 95% accuracy when you're streaming digital. Just, you know, with the compression and stuff. Yeah, I love that Neanderthal painting that he did in like a night. It's basically just monochrome on plywood, right? Because that's all he had for that painting. Right, it was that one where I think his wife like went to bed crying that night because she thought they were going to be like destitute and out on the street because the job was due in the morning and he hadn't even started it yet because he couldn't figure out what he wanted to do, and he didn't have any like actual painting surfaces to work on, but they were like he was remodeling or redoing the floors or something, and so he's like, I have plywood, and he like pulled up a piece of plywood from the floor and painted those Neanderthals on the plywood, and that's what he turned in, and they loved it, and they got paid, and they were not destitute, living out on the streets. The good old days, right? No. I had my fair share of struggling to pay the bills and pay rent, and I would not wish that on anybody. Not a fun position to be in. World Teller, thank you for the follow. Yeah, I wonder if I could, at least for you guys, get it. No. We'll see. Later, we'll see if we can get it so the glare isn't quite as bad. Maybe it'll pick up proper values. Yeah. Yeah. Frazetta did a lot of that, you know. It was like, it was kind of lucky for him he could work really fast, you know. But there were many instances where I think maybe the fact that he could work fast after a while, you know, caused him to maybe rush things a little more than he should have. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I absolutely love Frazetta's work, you know, and there's a beautiful spontaneity to it. I think because he would oftentimes just knock something out in a night or over a weekend or something. I mean, I think didn't he say that both Silver Warrior and Death Dealer were done in a weekend, like in a single weekend, both of those paintings? Mostly because he was pissed off that people were saying he was washed up and wasn't doing anything of value anymore, and so then he like shut himself in a studio for the weekend and knocked out like these two fucking awesome paintings just to show them. And show them he did. Sometimes you just gotta stick it to the haters. But then sometimes that's what it takes too, right? Like, I mean, he was a very competitive person. You know, he's an athlete and had been scouted by the Yankees and stuff. Like, so he's a legit athlete, you know, and I think that competitive nature sometimes would allow him to really just dig in and get some shit done, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, right? I mean, just his sense of kind of anatomy and very believable anatomy, right? Like his men weren't like the crazy. I mean, they were very strong and muscular, but in a very athletic, functional kind of a way, right? That like old school calisthenics kind of a thing, not so much like body sculpting and crazy, you know, deadlifts and whatnot. See, so like I love the silhouette now that carves out. I think that's a lot of fun. And I do want it to kind of feel warm, you know, like it's really warm here. When I get into the full color, I'll reinforce that with some kind of hot edges and stuff. Just want to refine some of this. So this is, again, it's more post-apocalyptic, right? So that's why she's got almost like small football pads kind of on her shoulders, and you know, just something that is more modern, right? I don't want it to feel like like a fantasy piece per se. And, you know, electrical tape on her boob. Right on. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. It's I mean, it honestly, like, I've done this on a couple of paintings in the past. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. It's a little nerve-wracking. But I wasn't as worried with this. I think, yeah. So the other nice thing is that now, like, it really kind of mutes her skin tone, which is great because this gives me a better idea of kind of the range of values I can play with, right? If I wanted to lose a little bit of skin tone against that, like not completely, but I could go lighter on it if I wanted to, but I don't, because I'm like, okay, look, she's roaming around with 2 jaguars. Chances are they're in a much warmer climate. Obviously, she goes around not wearing a whole lot of protective gear, so my guess is she's gonna probably be fairly tan. She's gonna have black hair, by the way. Not doing a redhead this time around. Shocker, I know. But this girl I always envisioned with black hair, just to tie her into the black jaguars, right? And give her almost like a ethnically ambiguous kind of a look, right? Because I may go a little darker with her skin, but I think I'll want to get her dark hair in there first, and then kind of see sort of how that brackets everything. You should. I would encourage anyone to learn to paint in oils. I think they are so much fun. I think they're hugely rewarding. It's not easy, obviously. There's a learning curve, but I really think it's like I know, I always do. I always, you know, my girlfriend's a redhead, so I'm always like, oh, red hair. Everyone has red hair. But I never really wanted that for this character. I wanted a bit more contrast than that. So, yeah, black hair it shall be. But yeah, I don't know. I would encourage anyone and everyone to paint with oils. At least learn to paint with. Oh yeah, are you redhead? Or you love redheads? I know. It's just like everything I seem to draw on page is a redhead. I'm just letting some of this dry a little bit, and as I decide what to paint next, I might get into her hair. I feel like her hair I could get into without needing stuff to dry too much. So yeah, I do too. I mean, I'll probably go with the type of black hair that airs on the brown side, I think. Hey, Floka, thanks for the follow. We'll see. I might end up going... Although, I mean, I can go basically like a really dark brown and then go with cool highlights, and that'll sort of give it that vibe of like really black hair. But I might go a little cooler on the hair just to start injecting a little more color. So ultramarine blue, here we come. Floka, thank you. Thank you. I'm putting just the barest amount of white in here, simply for opacity. Right, because with the hair, I actually, for whatever reason, I just kind of feel like going a little more opaque with it. Couldn't tell you why. I just do. And then I'll bring in some highlights. Kind of, or not highlights yet, but lights into the hair. But for now, I'm just laying in the general kind of mass of it, right? Chill, like surfer vibe with this music. It's kind of fun. Or like Polynesian, right? Feel a bit like I'm back in Tahiti. Aw, Tahiti. I would love to be back there. It is a magical place. It's funny when I went there, I just kept thinking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Every time, like, I'd be like, it's a magical place. My girlfriend didn't know what I was talking about, but... Aw, Agent Coulson. So we'll go way cooler, which you can see here though, it's not like, it's a pretty desaturated blue here, right? I might even warm it up just a touch. Oh, that was more than just a touch. Like I said, that transparent red iron oxide, that'll get ya. That's okay. We can get back there. I want to do the lights in the hair here. And I don't want them to be too warm, but I don't want to go too cool because it just, by contrast, it'll look pretty cool. Remember his book, he used to do underpainting with acrylics. Already tried? Yeah. Mauricio, I have, and I used to do underpaintings in acrylics. But the reason I don't is because there are times that I kind of like the underpainting not being totally dry when I start painting on top of it. With the overpaint. It depends though. It depends on the technique, right? If you're doing an underpainting in order to simply just glaze color in afterward, then you do want it to be totally dry. But then you're gonna do a monochrome underpainting, right? And you'll just glaze stuff in. But he was working from a commercial standpoint and having to get things done really fast. I'm not doing that here, so I'm not as concerned. But I like if I was doing a commission piece or something, like a portrait, which I used to do, then an acrylic underpainting goes a long way. But even then, I would still rather kind of just do the underpainting really thin in oils because it'll dry super fast even then. I'm Simmer. What kind of, I guess, art information are you looking for? Because I have all kinds of book recommendations. It just sort of depends on what, if you're looking for like something you can learn from, or if you just want awesome art. I've got recommendations on all fronts. Just kind of depends on what you want. To learn from. So, are you talking about for painting? I forgot I wanted her to have some like beads and stuff kind of in her hair. Because if you want like a good book for oil painting, then you need only look as far as Alla Prima 2 by Richard Schmid. He is a phenomenal painter and has compiled this book that has so much information in it. It's crazy. So, I mean, it's realistically, it's kind of the only painting book you would need, because he even covers different styles of painting in there, right? Stuff that's more impressionist, stuff that's very heavy into the realist movements, and you know, with painting more than anything, it's about observation, right? And so while yes, we want to learn obviously the techniques, because say with oils, they're just things you do and things you don't do, and or you know, things that we're taught not to do that maybe you might want to do because of the effects that it gets, right? So the basic idea is always fat over lean, right? So your early layers are very lean, where the paint is thinner and all that, and then you do the heavier fat layers over the top so that those lean layers underneath dry first and the top layers take longer to dry. If you go vice versa and you do lean layers on top, right? Because what can happen is you could paint really heavy layers on the bottom and then they might be dry to the touch, and then you paint thin layers on top, and then what happens is those thin layers on top dry, but then the stuff on the bottom takes longer to dry, and as it dries, it contracts, it shrinks, and then the stuff on top will start to crack, right? And that's what you don't want from an archival, like, longevity standpoint. So there are things like that, right? Techniques that and methodologies that we need to kind of be aware of and kind of learn and decide what to do with it. But beyond those things, it's all about observation. It's slowing down. What I'm doing here is its own kind of craziness, right? Because I don't have any reference right now other than the drawing that I did, which is just black and white. So I don't know if that's always the best way to go about it. Cuddle and Run, thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. I don't, you know, but I love painting out of my head. I love drawing out of my head. It just makes me really happy, even though it is a struggle sometimes, because like you have to think it through, and with something like this, you have to really think it through before you decide what move to make next, right? But I don't know. I really love that process. Not everyone does. Some people prefer to work much more heavily with reference, which is totally fine. Sometimes I feel like maybe I should work more with reference sometimes, but I just not quite sure where I would find reference for this. And I don't like to base my illustrations on any photos unless I take the photos myself. So, you know, there's that. Cuddle and Run, thank you. Thank you. I'm very glad you like it. Man, we could probably get into one of the Panthers too, now that I think about it. Let's see if we can get that a little more head on for you guys so you can see, because I know you're seeing it skewed, because obviously I need to be able to sit right in front of it, and if I have it head on, then you guys won't be able to see it as I sit in front of it as well. So, but you can at least see it head on. And let's see if we can get some of that light off the background. So I mean, we can already see actually that the background is not totally white. It's still brighter on the stream than what I'm seeing, but not by too much. I think more than anything on stream, it's higher contrast than what I'm seeing. So the darks and the lights are a bit crunched, but I mean, there's no way around that with the camera. That's just what the camera does. The camera crunches things. Silly camera. Well, if I do a tree anywhere, it would be much later, and that's something I would test out digitally first. I would just snap a picture, throw it to the computer, and then try it out. But because I did think about it. I did think about, like, could I get a tree in there somewhere? And, you know, I might hint at something back here. But I don't want the composition completely balanced. But I could get something back there that's just, like, really light value, at least to... But I don't know. I kind of like this. Oh, Bob. All right, Mauricio, thank you as always for joining the fun and asking great questions. I do love when folks ask questions and we can get a, you know, conversation going. Great. Cool. You sleep well, my friend. My schedule has been slowly shifting on me, and at first I was kind of battling it, right? Because I was like, no, I like waking up early in the morning, but then I was kind of like, well, wait, but if I wake up early in the morning, then it's like I have to try and get some personal art done, and then I have to jump into work art, you know, and then I have like just a couple of hours after work, or a few hours, where I can get more stuff done. I was like, or I can just push all the personal art to after work and just stay up later and wake up later. And the nice thing, the benefit of that is that then I'm like warmed up by the time I jump back into my personal stuff after work. That's fair, Shura. Shura, thank you so much for the raid. I have to say again, thank you. And before you go, I feel like I gotta. Oh, do I already follow you, Shura? Whoa.
Introducing my brand.
There, I don't. Now I do. Now I follow you. And, Shura Art. There you go, folks. Give Shura Art a follow. Even though I'm pretty sure they brought most of the people here. So you might already follow. But if you don't, support our fellow streamers. have a good night. I hope you sleep well. Get lots of rest. I feel like we all need a lot of rest, or could use a lot of rest these days, right? Especially, I don't know how many people are in the US, but for any that are, I mean, we all know the crazy work culture, right? That's here in the States, where it's all just like live to work rather than work to live. And I would say if there's anything good to come out of the pandemic bullshit, it is maybe forcing people and companies to rethink the work structure of it. You know, I think that's a very good thing here in the US. It's too bad that it, you know, takes something like this to do that, and who knows, like hopefully after things have mellowed out a bit, hopefully they can kind of stick with it and realize that, oh, you know what, maybe it's not a good idea to run all the employees into the ground. You know, but who knows? Who knows? So I want to get into dark colors, by the way. I don't like to go super clean, so to speak. Like, I will do a lot of broken marks. I don't know why. I love the lighter, warm underpainting that starts to show through between the marks of the dark stuff, even though in the shadows they're not lighter, but because they're black jaguars, I like, you know, we'll get into the lights here pretty quick. I don't think so. Is she related to Huntington? Like the railroad tycoon? Or no relation? If it's at the Met, then I probably saw it. I mean, I haven't been to the Met in years, but I've been there a few times, and I absolutely love that place. Though generally when I'm there, I just make a beeline for the Joan of Arc painting by Jules Bastien Lepage, because it's one of my all-time favorite paintings. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some relation, because Huntington collected a ton of art. Let's see it. Let's see this. Oh, that's cool. Damn, that's rad. Yeah, it's a beautiful sculpture. Damn. Damn. Oh, I'm curious though. American sculptor. Milton Huntington. Okay, so maybe she married into the Huntingtons? Maybe? Archer Milton Huntington was son of Arabella Huntington and the adopted, possibly biological son of railroad magnate industrial. Okay. So possibly, not too much is known there. So yeah, sort of in a skewed way related to the railroad mogul. Yeah, man, that stuff always gets me. Like, I get it nowadays, how people can, you know, get their animal anatomy, but like back then, they didn't have near as much access to that stuff as we do now. Although at the same time, she probably could have like bought a Jaguar. Because remember, like back then, at that point, we still had Jaguars in the U.S., right? I mean, we still get them sometimes, roaming up into New Mexico, Arizona, and stuff. Though not as often anymore, but they used to. That used to be part of their range. So it's possible. I mean, whatever. They still had zoos and stuff. So, and they, you know, artists still would have done exactly like they do now and gone and sketched at the zoo and just did as many sketches as they could, and probably could have even taken some pictures that would have taken forever to develop, but you know, they were more patient than we are. I don't know, did she raise large cats? Maybe she did. That'd be cool. I'm debating how cool I want the lights on them to go. I mean, it'd probably make more sense to have warm lights on them if I want this to be like a warm climate, you know, but I kind of want to emphasize the darkness of them. So we'll bring in more darks too, because I think I might want to go fairly heavy on the dark with them. Makes more sense than leaning into the lights, right? Because they're black. Oh, I bet. Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I've been to the Bronx Zoo actually. It's a pretty rad zoo, I have to say. You know, I mean, as far as zoos go. It'd be nice if we didn't have to have zoos, but at this point I don't really know what they would do. Well, I guess they could always put the animals in a nice sanctuary where they don't have to be taunted by stupid people, but alright, we're gonna warm these lights up here because I don't want them to go green, but I want some hotter lights on them. So this is the tricky part, right? When you're dealing with anything that is truly like black, right? Like black Jaguars. Not all of them. Some of them can have a slight kind of brown, almost like a really dark brown, right? But some of them just get, like, they are jet black. And when you deal with anything that's truly black, you don't really get shadows on them. And that's the tricky part. right? So you have to kind of cheat it, right? Because you can't get darker than black, right? So in a sense, you don't get the same kind of like cast shadows when you get the really dark black Jaguars. So we can either cheat it and say, hey, let's make them not totally black, you know, or we can kind of lean into that and keep them very mysterious with just like some highlights and stuff. But I think I should probably get into the darks on this to kind of see where that takes us. Makes up a nice deep something. I don't know what. But we'll get there with a little bit of permanent crimson, some ultramarine blue, bit of olive green, let's see, still a bit warm, but that's okay. I don't mind. Oh, that's not enough time. That is not enough time. Yeah, the last couple times I went to New York, I live out in LA, so you know I'm on the other side of the country. But the last couple times I went to New York, I basically set aside a day for the Met because they have paintings there that I absolutely love. I mean, they have all those Jerome paintings. They have, you know, like I said, that Joan of Arc painting by Jules Bastien Lepage, and I absolutely love that painting. Plus the American Painters Wing, you have all those sergeants, including Madame X. You've got some beautiful Remington paintings, you know, and then just getting over into like the suits of armor and stuff that they have over there is just so cool. I mean, so much to see. Yeah, only part of a day would not be enough for me. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Alright, so like I said, I don't want to do like super solid kind of. I love doing broken kinds of marks, right? Shadow is. In the especially in the darks, I love doing a more broken brush stroke. Damn, they look way darker on stream than they do, like, than what I'm seeing. That's the only thing when I get into all these crazy brush marks. You know, the different angles of the marks will catch light in different ways, and there's kind of no way nothing I can do about that. Wait, which Raquel Welch movie poster? I don't know if I know. You would think I would know, working in movie posters as I do. And thank you, by the way. I'm glad you like it. Just trying to get some of these darks in here, and then I'll come back in with the lights. Yeah, okay, that's, yeah. Damn it, what was that movie? That wasn't, was that Attack of the 50-Foot Woman or whatever? Was that one? So I'm just kind of realizing that I'm like, okay, I need to bring these darks into the lights more, and then bring the lights back in over the top, or it just won't have the right look. I mean, I know which one you're talking about. I just don't remember the name of the film. 1,000,000 years BC. Oh. That's funny. Yeah, the funny thing is, she actually has kind of primitive looking gear, but it's actually all modern material, because my idea with this is that it's actually more like post-apocalyptic kind of a, you know, sort of a Mad Max kind of a world. Alright, now we'll start bringing some lights in on top of this that we can kind of get certain types of marks with. Damn, I wish you guys could see this a little better. Because it's actually looking pretty cool, but it doesn't look, it's not coming out as well on this stream because it's catching all this light. I'm gonna get some lights on them, and then I'm gonna try bringing it a little closer. Maybe get away from that glare, just so you guys can kind of check it out a little better. Hey Willie, how's it going? Yeah, I that is kind of a theme with me, these badass warrior girls and big cats. I mean, obviously my love for Frazetta coming through there, right? I can't claim that it's any kind of an original thing, but for whatever reason, that theme has always really resonated with me, and I will often just push it and go into like a fantasy place where the cats are just impossibly big, right? Like in that Nox Custos painting, or illustration, I should say. It's not really a painting. I mean, you know, digital painting, but damn, Vista, you went old school. I'm assuming you saw that on my art station, because that's like, I think that's the only place that I have it. I've actually been wanting to kind of revisit that little story. I'd done a little bit of flash fiction to go along with it, and I've been considering revisiting it, because I would design it a little different. I think her clothing was a little too modern looking for what I wanted. Jaguars have those big jaw muscles, so I'm gonna want to exaggerate that a little bit. Oh yeah, I drew I drew that. You know, I gotta bring a little bit of a lightheartedness to the stream. So originally, because Willie, you're on YouTube, so you don't see the emotes on Twitch. I'd done an emote for Twitch that was basically just the head of that, but in grayscale. And I decided to just roll it out into a full version, or more full version. I know, it's completely different stylistically than what we're working on right now, but you know what? That's kind of how I roll, you know? There are times that I love drawing silly, cartoony things, too. Not often, but I do enjoy it. Yeah, I think I don't normally do it like on stream, but you can also like join the Discord and see the emotes there. Let's get those eyes. Let's light up those eyes. Discord. And you can always like feel free, you can share art there. Ooh, that might be a little too hot. Let's keep that down. For the Panthers, yeah, it was basically a permanent crimson, ultramarine blue, and then a bit of olive green to kind of kick the red down a bit. So more or less red and blue, and then the highlights I just did a more desaturated kind of a blue, or in the lights. You don't really have highlights per se. I could do highlights, but I don't know that I will. I kind of want to keep them very dark and mysterious. So basically, because there's a bit of transparency, right? So I want the color to show through a bit. I don't want to go like super black. I forgot I should probably get some hint of, you know, legs back there. I don't need much. I think I just need like a little sort of nudge of something. So because I want that transparency, yeah, I'm keeping everything fairly warm, though the lights on them go pretty cool. There's going to be like some cooler stuff on her as well, you know? But I kind of want room to sort of play with that stuff, I guess. I do want the whole thing to skew a bit warmer. I don't want it. I'm not going to get into like any hard blues or anything like that. But I don't want it to feel monochromatic either. So we'll get into some other colors, even with her skin. Like her skin's not done. This is basically just transparent red, iron oxide, and white, which gives you a very generic flesh tone, right? But since this is mostly underpainting, I'm still gonna get into pushing in some more yellows and some cools and stuff in the skin as well. I don't want to have it just be like flesh color, you know? But since this is just the underpainting, I'm not worrying about those kinds of details just yet. I just figured, you know what, since I was painting up her hair, I might as well extend that and get into the panthers a bit. Though I'll probably call it a night here fairly soon. But let's see if we can get some of this stuff a little closer. Trying to think of what the best way to do this is. Maybe moving the camera might not be the best. I think it'd be easier to just get closer up here and see about. Right, so it's so hard to see what the color really is because it's just wanting to skew it like black, and it's so not black. Okay. I tried. Let's see if we can. Trying to get it like maybe away from the light a little so you can see more of the color. I mean, you can, so there you can see more what the background color really is. But then she looks way higher contrast than what she actually is in person. And that one is just getting all weird on stream. You guys are like, what the hell is he doing? Doesn't even make sense. But I promise it kind of does. Kind of does. Kind of does. Let's see if changing the light will do much for us here. that's still just catching, you know what we need to do. We need to do that. That gives you a little better idea. A little bit, but it's still like there's a really damn cool mark around the eyes that I wish you guys could see and appreciate. Trust me, it's there. Yeah, this is definitely like kind of soaked into the clear gesso a bit more, and it's not as blasted out for sure. Let me see if I can. This thing really doesn't want to budge, does it? Okay. I might not be trustworthy. I don't know. Oh man. Jeez, that spot. Well, when I post it up, I'll see if I can get a good. I'll definitely like get some nice close-ups of some sections because there's some really nice marks in here, like some stuff where I am not gonna touch this little section at all. Like I might bring some more lights up here. In fact, we'll probably do that right now. But this bit right around the eye, I'm not gonna touch that because there's some marks in there that are super cool, and I'll just mess it up if I hit that too hard, and I won't be able to get it back. So, little one. What you doing? Little girl? My own little Black Panther here. Yeah. My own little Black Panther. Black and White Panther. Yeah. Say hi, Dana. Say hi, Dana. Look at the little black toe beans. Yeah. Okay. Oil paint fumes are not good for kitties. Probably not good for me either, but whatever. I have a choice in the matter. Let's do a couple little sculpty kind of things here. She wishes. Alright. I think before I risk messing anything up, I'm going to let that one be. And we're going to call it a night. Because, you know, Better to do that than to just like charge ahead and mess up all the hard work you did. But before I do anything, let's close all the jars. Close all the jars. And let's see if there's anyone we would like to raid. Well, who would we like to raid? Archer Kell's on. Cat Cartel is on. G21MM. Cat Videos. Viscera Obscura, thank you for joining. I'm gonna raid someone. We're gonna raid G21 again, because I always dig his streams, and you know, he's working on some powerful, sexy girl, so you know, it kind of goes hand in hand with what we're working on. So everyone, Shakuri! Were you lurking? Were you lurking? Well, I'm glad you at least got to catch it. So, yeah. All right, let's think about doing a raid here. And everyone on YouTube, thank you so much for joining. Everyone on Twitch, we're gonna raid. We're gonna raid. All right, y'all have yourselves a great night.